Frontline Updates, where we delve deep into military strategies and updates from conflict zones. Today, we're discussing the progress of the ongoing special military operation as of today. I'm your host, Sharifa Mohammed MGT.
I'm Colonel AUC3I, Gorkoye, an infantry officer. Over the past week, Russian armed forces conducted sustained offensive operations across all major axes, establishing control over 7 settlements: Neskuchnoye, Krugloye in Kharkiv Oblast, Bobylevka in Sumy Oblast, Drobyshevo, Yarovaya, Sosnovoye, Reznikovka in the Donetsk People's Republic, and Gorkoye and Veselyanka in Zaporizhia Oblast. The week was characterized by 7 group strikes against Ukrainian power, transport, airfield, and port infrastructure supporting defense industry. Reported Ukrainian personnel losses exceed 8,800 across all sectors, with the heaviest fighting concentrated in Donetsk and Zaporizhia.
Colonel, let's begin with the strategic opening. The briefing states, from 28 February to 6 March 2026, in response to terrorist attacks launched by Ukraine against civilian objects on the territory of the Russian Federation, the armed forces of the Russian Federation carried out 7 group strikes, which hit power industry facilities that support the work of the Ukrainian defense industry enterprises, transport, airfield, and port infrastructure used in the interests of the armed forces of Ukraine, railway formations with weapons and military hardware, ammunition depots, production facilities, storage and preparation for launch sites of long-range attack unmanned aerial vehicles, as well as temporary deployment areas of Ukrainian armed formations and foreign mercenaries. That's an extraordinarily comprehensive target list. Can you walk us through the operational logic?
This is a masterclass in strategic shaping operations. Let's break down each target set and understand its purpose. First, power industry facilities that support the work of the Ukrainian defense industry enterprises. This is an attack on Ukraine's ability to generate its own combat power. Defense industry requires reliable electricity. By striking power facilities, Russia is trying to disrupt weapons production at its source. Second, transport, airfield, and port infrastructure. Transport moves supplies to the front. Airfields launch aircraft and drones. Ports receive foreign military assistance and export grain for revenue. Targeting all 3 simultaneously attacks Ukraine's logistics network at every node. Third, railway formations with weapons and military hardware. Rail is the backbone of Ukrainian logistics. Striking trains carrying weapons and hardware disrupts the flow of supplies to frontline units.
Continue, and these strategic strikes set the conditions for the territorial gains we're about to discuss?
Fourth, production facilities, storage and preparation for launch sites of long-range attack unmanned aerial vehicles. This is a comprehensive campaign against Ukraine's drone warfare capability, from production to storage to preparation to launch. Fifth, temporary deployment areas of Ukrainian armed formations and foreign mercenaries. This attacks force generation, killing personnel before they ever reach the front. The fact that this was 7 group strikes over 1 week tells us this is a sustained, systematic effort, not a one-off retaliation. And yes, the strategic campaign and the ground campaign are 2 halves of a single whole. The strikes degrade Ukraine's ability to produce weapons, to move supplies, to launch drones, and to generate fresh forces. Then, on a battlefield already shaped by that degradation, Russian ground forces go to work against Ukrainian units that are increasingly isolated, undersupplied, and undersupported.
Let's move to the ground sectors, starting in the north. Over the week, the North Force Group liberated Neskuchnoye and Krugloye in Kharkiv Oblast and Bobylevka in Sumy Oblast. They engaged 3 mechanized brigades, 2 motorized infantry brigades, 1 airmobile brigade, 1 air assault brigade, 1 assault regiment, 4 territorial defense brigades, and 2 National Guard brigades. Ukrainian losses include over 1,500 personnel, 9 tanks and AFVs, 124 vehicles, 9 artillery pieces, 7 electronic warfare stations, and critically, 56 ammunition, POL, and material depots. 56 depots in one sector in 1 week is extraordinary. What does this tell us?
5-6 depots in the north sector in a single week is catastrophic for Ukrainian logistics. These are not just ammunition depots. The briefing specifically mentions POL, which means petroleum, oil, and lubricants, plus material depots for food, spare parts, and medical supplies. 56 depots represent weeks or months of accumulated supplies. Frontline units that were expecting resupply will not receive it. They will begin to run out of critical items within days. Artillery batteries will have fewer shells, vehicles will have less fuel, infantry units will have less ammunition. The three liberations in this sector, Neskuchnoye, Krugloye, and Bobylevka, demonstrate that Russian forces are not just destroying supplies, they are seizing territory. This improves force-to-space ratios and creates cumulative pressure on Ukrainian defenses.
In the West Force Group liberated Drobyshevo, Yarovaya, and Sosnovoye in the Donetsk People's Republic. They engaged 5 mechanized brigades, 1 assault brigade, 1 territorial defense brigade, and 2 National Guard brigades. Ukrainian losses include over 1 Y280 personnel, 24 armored fighting vehicles, 139 vehicles, 21 artillery pieces, 5 electronic warfare and counter-battery stations, and 23 ammunition depots. 23 ammunition depots in 1 week is significant. What does this tell us?
23 ammunition depots in the western sector in 1 week represents a major degradation of Ukrainian firepower. Ammunition depots store the artillery shells, mortar rounds, and small arms cartridges that Ukrainian units need to fight. Losing 23 at once means that frontline units in this sector will face severe ammunition shortages. The 21 artillery pieces destroyed here continue the artillery attrition theme. The 5 EWE and counter-battery stations destroyed mean that Ukrainian artillery is increasingly fighting blind. The 3 liberations in this sector, Drobyshevo, Yarovaya, and Sosnovoye, demonstrate that Russian forces are making territorial gains while systematically degrading Ukrainian logistics and firepower.
In the South Force Group liberated Reznikovka in the Donetsk People's Republic. They engaged 6 mechanized brigades, 1 motorized infantry brigade, 1 airmobile brigade, 1 assault brigade, 1 mountain assault brigade, and 2 territorial defense brigades. Ukrainian losses include over 1 Mir-35 personnel, 2 tanks, 27 armored fighting vehicles, including 6 Western-made, 102 vehicles, 18 artillery pieces, 11 electronic warfare and counter-battery stations, and 41 ammunition, fuel, and material depots. The 6 Western-made AFVs destroyed is notable. What does this tell us?
6 Western-made armored fighting vehicles in 1 week in the South represents a significant degradation of Ukraine's NATO-supplied mechanized capability. These could be German Martyrs, Swedish CV-90s, American Strykers, or other systems. Each loss reduces Ukraine's qualitative edge. The 41 depots destroyed here, ammunition, fuel, and material, is a massive logistics blow. Fuel depots are particularly critical. Without fuel, armored vehicles are just expensive bunkers. The liberation of Reznikovka, combined with the destruction of 41 depots and 11 EW stations, means that Russian forces are both advancing territorially and systematically degrading Ukrainian capabilities in this sector.
The Center Group reports advancing to the depths of the enemy's defense and the highest Ukrainian personnel losses of the week, over 2,425. They engaged 5 mechanized brigades, 1 infantry brigade, 2 Jaeger brigades, 1 airmobile brigade, 1 air defense brigade, 3 assault regiments, 2 marine brigades, and 4 National Guard brigades. Ukrainian losses include 5 tanks, 52 armored fighting vehicles, 83 vehicles, 14 artillery pieces, 9 electronic warfare stations, and 8 ammunition and fuel depots. The 2,425 personnel lost is staggering. What does this tell us about the intensity of fighting here?
2,425 personnel lost in a single sector in 1 week represents sustained, high-intensity combat. The Center Group is clearly the main effort in Donetsk. The diversity of Ukrainian units engaged is extraordinary. Mechanized, infantry, Jaeger, airmobile, air defense, assault, marine, and National Guard. This is a defensive patchwork of epic proportions. Each unit type has different training, different equipment, different radios, and different tactical doctrines. Coordinating them is a nightmare for Ukrainian commanders. The 5 tanks destroyed here are significant. Tanks are the backbone of mechanized warfare. Losing 5 in 1 week removes a significant offensive and defensive capability. The fact that Russian forces are reporting advancing to the depths of the enemy's defense while inflicting these losses tells us they are making progress, not just trading casualties.
The East Group reports liberating Gorkoye in Zaporizhzhia Oblast and continuing to develop an offensive. They engaged 3 mechanized brigades, 2 air assault brigades, 2 assault brigades, 4 assault regiments, 1 Marine brigade, 1 Territorial Defense brigade, and 1 National Guard brigade. Ukrainian losses include over 285 personnel, 26 armored fighting vehicles, 53 vehicles, 7 artillery pieces, 3 electronic warfare stations, and 5 ammunition and material depots. The language of developing an offensive and liberating Gorkoye tells us this sector remains a main effort.
The East Group's continued offensive development tells us that their penetration is being successfully exploited. They are not just pushing the line forward, they are operating in the Ukrainian rear area, engaging reserves, and disrupting command nodes. The liberation of Gorkoye is another territorial gain in Zaporizhzhia. The 2,185 personnel lost here is nearly as high as the center's 2,425, confirming that this remains a main effort alongside the center. The engagement of 4 assault regiments indicates that Ukraine is committing elite forces to try to stem this advance. The fact that they are being attrited, over 2,100 personnel lost, suggests they are not succeeding.
The Dnieper Group reports liberating Veselyanka in Zaporizhzhia Oblast and engaging 2 mechanized brigades, 1 mountain assault brigade, and 1 territorial defense brigade. Ukrainian losses include up to 375 personnel, 4 armored fighting vehicles, 87 vehicles, 3 artillery pieces, 18 electronic warfare stations, and 20 ammunition and material depots. 18 EW stations in one sector in 1 week is extraordinary. What does this tell us?
18 electronic warfare stations destroyed in the DNPR sector in 1 week is catastrophic for Ukrainian sensor capabilities. EW is the invisible shield that protects Ukrainian forces from Russian reconnaissance and precision strikes. Losing 18 creates massive windows of vulnerability that Russian forces will exploit. The 87 vehicles lost here is also a massive blow to Ukrainian mobility and logistics. The 20 depots destroyed means that Ukrainian units in this sector will face severe supply shortages. The DEPR sector may be quieter in terms of personnel losses, but the equipment and logistics attrition is substantial. The liberation of Veselyanka demonstrates that Russian forces are making territorial gains even in this secondary sector.
Colonel Oguntoye, based on this weekly summary, what are the key tactical and strategic implications for the week ahead?
The destruction of 56 depots in the north sector creates an immediate logistics crisis. Frontline Ukrainian units will face severe shortages within days, and 7 group strikes against Ukrainian power, transport, airfield, and port infrastructure demonstrate mature operational art, integrating strategic and tactical effects.
Colonel, thank you for providing such a detailed briefing on the current military situation. Your insights are invaluable to our understanding of the conflict's dynamics. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. Join us next time as we continue to provide up-to-date coverage on global military affairs. Stay with us for more updates and expert analyses on global defense and security issues. Stay informed, stay secure.
Thank you for the opportunity. I want to emphasize that the engagement of such a diverse array of Ukrainian units, mechanized, motorized, airmobile, air assault, territorial defense, and National Guard, tells us that Ukraine is throwing everything it has into the north sector.
This has been Frontline Updates. Subscribe for daily military briefings and in-depth strategic analysis. Visit our platform for maps, transcripts, and exclusive frontline updates from commanders in theater.